Why does everyone keep telling me to watch NXT? Right, you know what? I'll just watch it, okay? You're all telling me to watch it, I'll just watch it, okay? I'm the Velveteer Dream, I'm the Velveteer Dream. Alright, I may have liked NXT TAKEOVER yesterday. Yeah, I actually liked an NXT show. For the record, a lot of you know this, I'm not a big fan of the whole, indie stuff. I'm not a whole big fan of the whole, NXT's the best and stuff like that. I just brushed it to the side. But I wanted to see what the whole agenda was with NXT, and was it any good? And they were featuring a match that I haven't seen for many, many years, which was War Games. And I decided, you know what, spur of the moment, I already have, it's already cancelled my network, but it's already kind of, fixed, so it'll go away in December at some point. So I decided, you know what, I've already paid for the network for this month, might as well just check it out. And I was actually pleasantly surprised by the show. The problem, I think, with the main roster, really, and why I have had such an issue with it, is that the wrestling is boring. Now, a lot of you know me, I'm more of a storyline person. But if the storylines aren't doing well, then you could maybe have, somewhat of good wrestling. What I liked about this NXT show is that it wasn't all about flippy-dippy flips. It was actually kind of brutal at times in the War Games match. Some of the moves that they did were actually very good, choreography on it, and it looked like a legitimate match. The timing was very, very good in the match, and it wasn't again like the whole flippy dippy thing. It was very much like, you have brawlers in there. There's more of a mixed bag, because my problem with NXT over the last few years was that it was all this flips and kicks and everyone is the same. And what I like about this kind of roster of NXT is that it's a mixed bag now. It's not just your traditional flippy dippy person. There's brawlers in it. There's the Viking tag team I actually do like. A Velveteer Dream. I'm gonna hate for this, but I actually like him. I do like Velveteer Dream, I'm not gonna lie. I do hope that he doesn't go to the main roster soon, because I think they're just gonna have him as some background wrestler character style. But yeah, I did enjoy Velveteer Dream's match. The Undisputed Era, this is the first match really I seen of Adam Cole. I've heard of him and stuff like that. I'm not really all into the indie scene, as I previously said. I don't pretend to be. But I thought that the War Games match was pretty good. We're going to go through it card by card, so let's get into our first match right now. One of the things that I actually want to say, and this is incredibly important for this show, was that the card setup was done right. The problem, I think, with the current WWE roster and the current WWE product is that the card setup is bad. The matches, I will say I'm not a fan of the Matt Riddle match, or I'm not really a fan of him, to be honest, so I skipped that. But apart from that, the matches, all of them, I enjoyed. Now, that's going to bump up the grade a lot at the end of this review, and that is why I want to make this point. If you are going to do a pay-per-view, all your matches have to seem seamless into the next match. Not to get bored of any of the matches. That's what was so good about this show. I wasn't bored at any point. Apart from the Matt Riddle thing, I just didn't watch it. But apart from that, I just generally wasn't bored of it. So, going forward, knowing that, the grade is going to be a lot more higher than probably what I usually do. Because that's what I look in a wrestling show. A wrestling show has to have a structured card, your foundation. A structured card is your foundation, okay? If you don't have a good foundation, that house is gonna collapse. WWE's like cards that they've done over the past few months, even the years, and their pay-per-views, the cards haven't been good. So there's parts of the card that I'm just bored in. But they structured this card very well. I don't know who it was that set up the card for this, but I think that they have to be congratulated for that. So yeah, fuck me, I'm actually speaking positively about wrestling now. Anyway, on with the match. So the Matt Riddle thing, I didn't see it, but from what I've heard, it was quite weak. And I'm not really a fan of Matt Riddle, to be honest. There's just something weird about him that I just don't like. It's just, it's just a gut instinct. I'm sure he's a nice guy, but like, I'm not a fan of him, to be honest. I'm just not a fan of him, and I know, you know, hopefully he might change my mind in later, in upcoming weeks or months, but overall, guys, I'm just not a fan of him, and I just had to skip the match. Let's get into the next match right now, which is the 2 out of 3 falls match for the NXT Women's title. I don't know these women. Like I said, I haven't watched NXT really, to be honest. But you're the Parrot Girl that you call her. I actually do like her. I actually wanted her to win. I don't know why she's a parrot. If someone could explain that to me. I think it's kind of goofy, her being a parrot. I think she should just really maybe be herself or something. I don't know. But she actually did some good wrestling. In fact, I actually preferred her more than some of the females in the main roster, to be honest. And I think this girl should be on the main roster, and I'd like to see her actually compete for titles, to be honest. I'm actually a big fan of her, and I thought her wrestling... The other girl as well, thought she did pretty well. It's good to see another kind of... Like, the problem I have with Nia Jax, for example, is that she's a bruiser or whatever. But Nia Jax is... Like, her choreography in matches, I think, is just terrible. I think some of these bruiser women, I think, are just not really good choreography-wise. They're not very good at timing. But this girl, I felt, was actually pretty good at timing, and I thought this was a pretty good, solid match. I'm not usually a fan of interference, but this was interference done right. There was 2 girls that came to the ring to distract and stuff, but I think this was actually... The interference in this match was actually well choreographed. I'm going to say choreography a lot, which I know it goes with the thing with NXT, but it was all very much well done. I thought this was an actual decent match. Wanted the Parrot Girl to win, but, you know, what can you do? Our next match is Aleister Black versus Johnny Gargano. I've heard of Aleister Black, and I was a bit worried about him because before he was very similar to Baron Corbin, like almost identical to him. But now it looks like he's coming up with his own image, his own look. And obviously Baron Corbin's very different than what he was before. But yeah, like, I actually do like Aleister Black, to be honest, and stuff. Johnny Gargano is kind of like a different, I could be wrong in this, but he's a different kind of heel. He's a heel that wants to be a face, if that makes sense, which I like that dynamic. And my problem with NXT in the past is that they didn't really focus too much on storylines, but with this, they're actually doing character development. And the Johnny Gargano guy to actually, like, cheer while everyone's booing him, that's a good kind of touch, because him, like, trying to make people cheer him and they boo him is actually a good heel way. And I think it's something that isn't really done well today, but I think he's actually doing pretty well in it. In regards to the match, I actually thought this was a pretty decent match. And Aleister Black, you know, won and stuff, but I thought this was actually a very good match and was definitely well done, to be honest. Velveteen Dream, big fan of him now. Oh fuck, I've never actually fanboyed over someone for a while, but I actually do like Velveteen Dream. And then that Ciampa guy, I don't know really who he is, really, to be honest, but he's the NXT champion. You know, like, he's more of a I don't know I'd say if he's a cowardly heel, but he's more of one of those that I want to keep the title by any means necessary, which has been done like 100 times. Like Seth Rollins, for example, whenever he had the championship, was very much like that. And I think you can only go so far with that to eventually people just start losing interest. But I hope this guy, Velveteer Dream, actually, like, wins it, again at some point. Like, he actually wins the title. And, you know, I really hope that they develop his character more and actually execute him well on the main roster. So, that's what I'm hoping for. This was actually a good, decent match, to be honest. Alright, so your main event, again, by the way, what I liked about this card was that it was very, like, there wasn't 12 matches before the main event. So whenever they said this is the main event, I'm like, oh shit, really? Oh, this is it? That's what you want. The War Games match I thought was absolutely excellent, and I really hope that they do something like that more on WWE. I would even say main roster, I'd like to see it done, the War Games thing, but don't overdo it. Don't, like, overdo it. But yeah, I thought it was done pretty well. And you had the War Raiders, Pete Dunne. Pete Dunne's a bit weak. Pete Dunne, I can see why people like him. It's just his facial expressions freak me out. Like, the whole, that just freaks me out. And he just looks like he's just a child that's upset. You know, like, he looks very sulky looking, which he's apparently a bruiser or whatever. But he kind of, like, his facial expressions look like he's, it's almost like a child. I don't know if I'm right on this, but that's just what I got. Like, he's very much like, you know, who was that? There was this guy called Wesley something in TNA, and that's why I didn't like him, because he had that, like, kind of like weird face thing on it. I don't know I think he's trying, he's trying too hard to look tough, and I really hope he doesn't do that on the main roster. Also, he's the UK champion. Didn't realize that was still a thing. But anyway, I do like the War Raiders. I really hope that they do well with them on the tag team division on the main roster, but we'll have to wait and see. The Undisputed Era, I don't really know anyone. One of them looks like Wade Barrett's brother. So he looks exactly like Wade Barrett's brother. He probably is, I don't know. But, and then you had, your man, like, you had all those guys from the problem I have with the, and I will get into the match, the problem I have with the Undisputed Era is their name, Undisputed Era. It's more of a sentence than a tag, like a team. I think that they should have, like, just Undisputed. Don't put era at the end, because it just sounds really weird. And it doesn't sound like they're trying to be the Nexus, because they've got the armband thing and stuff. If they had, like, a cool name than Undisputed Era, then I might rally behind them. But Adam Cole was actually alright in this. I haven't really seen much of his matches. He's pretty decent. So the rules are pretty kind of like, if you are a casual viewer, you might get a bit confused. But the match doesn't start till all competitors are in there. What was a nice touch was that Pete Dunne, like, with his facial expressions, like, he got locked in. Usually I don't like things like that whenever they put that in. But this was actually very well. It did build tension. See, if you're doing kind of these, like, contract elements of storylines in wrestling, you have to do it right where there's a threat. That's why John Cena, for example, whenever he got trapped there, I was like, he's just gonna break the locks. That's why it didn't work. But this was an element, like a legitimate kind of build-up threat. And then once Pete Dunne came in, they threw in ladders, not ladders, like chairs and tables and everything else. And this was a really well-structured match as well, like very well-structured. And stuff like that. But yeah, like, I actually did like everyone in this match. Even Pete Dunne to a certain degree. Although, he did some things, but there was a few people that were more standoutish, I think, during this match. But all in all, this was an actual decent match. And definitely well worth watching. So if you're a subscriber to me, and you somehow still haven't cancelled the network, I would check out the pay-per-view whenever you have a free chance. Guys, what grade am I going to give this? I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10, which is probably the highest rating I've given a long time. I'm giving this an 8 out of 10 because the card was well structured. The card was completely done right. It would have got maybe a 9 or a 9.5 or something if the Matt Riddle match was done, like, if Matt Riddle just wasn't there, to be honest. But I would have given this a 10. But overall, I generally did think that this was a decent show. And yeah, I might tune in to NXT, maybe. We'll have to wait and see. But, you know, it is what it is. So, guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. Let me know what you think. And, yeah, like, also, guys, if you're interested in WWE reviews and you don't want to watch a full hour for a review, you can tune into my show because I usually keep it within 15 minutes, roughly. And stuff like that. I usually keep it 15, 16, 17 minutes. I like to keep it short because, you know, you all have busy lives. I couldn't review the show for an hour, to be honest. But anyway, guys, yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. 8 out of 10, the highest rating I've give really this year. Probably in a long time, actually. And, yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this, this show. So, yes, this is a positive review for once. But anyway, guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. This is General Jerry on the General Jerry channel, signing out.
That is true, can't deny cause there is proof, and this ain't even a straight shoot, but yo, here we go, it's time, General Jerry show, yo, yo, here we go, it's time, General Jerry show, yo, here we go, it's time, General Jerry show, yo, yo, here we go, it's time, General Jerry show, let's go.